And welcome back to Believe in Steelers, everybody. Powered by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Jarrett Bailey here with you, as always. And I'm joined today by my friend and yours, the host of Football America, Dave Dameshek. How's it going, pal?
You said that word wrong at the top. It's not powered. It's powered.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's P-A-H-E-R-D.
It's powered. The show's powered. Come on now. Let's go. It's football season. Let's get.
This is taking place live from the South Hills in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So that's a fair criticism that I didn't think of that in advance. My apologies.
Dude, you ever been over to the Penn Hills Pizza Hut? Remember that? You get up to the top of Rhode Island Road and then take a right. That's right where it is. There used to be an O there. People don't remember that. Now there's no O, but there used to be an O over there near not too far from Monroeville.
We can go to the Arby's on McKnight Road. Apparently, it's the best Arby's in the state.
Oh, tapioca shake is never a bad decision.
Tapioca shake. Oh my god!
Wait, no, I'm sorry, tapioca, not tapioca. What's the Arby's shake that they make? It's the coffee flavor. That's not exactly coffee. It's not tapioca. Damn it! We got to start the show all over again.
I have no idea.
We don't have time. It's the shake. It's what Arby's makes. Do you know that Arby's? I didn't know this until adult life arrived. Do you know that Arby's is RB as in roast beef?
No, I didn't.
Arby's.
I didn't realize that until now. Wow.
Next layer, people will say that's wrong. It's in fact the initials of the creator of Arby's. I don't know if I agree with that. Arby's, roast beef.
Arby's sounds, that makes more sense. Or it could just be that it was named after the
like the Milwaukee Brewers logo that looks like a baseball cap, but is in fact an MB. Right. But this is Arby's.
Or like the arrow in the FedEx logo.
Right.
Yeah. Don't worry.
And also, people don't know the Vancouver Canucks logo. You know, the royal blue and Kelly green, the old school one that appears to just be a hockey stick. You know which one I'm talking about there?
Yeah,
not the like the sharp.
Not the
one.
C. Yeah.
This one just looks like it's a picture of a hockey stick. It's in fact a C as well, because the hockey stick creates the space that makes it into one big C.
I'm gonna have to look at that after this just to verify this, because I haven't.
Jamocha shake. That's what it is.
I've never had one of these things. And look,
I want you to go get one.
This is an Arby's friendly show. Arby's sent me a care package like 2 years ago, and it was very, very kind of them. So this is, we love Arby's over here.
When's the last time you had a Roy Rogers? Do those still exist, or did Arby's crush
Roy Rogers?
Roy Rogers was the same thing as Burger King to McDonald's or Pepsi to Coca-Cola. Roy Rogers was the challenger to Arby's.
I've never. I mean, I've heard the name, but I don't think I've ever had that.
Well, I hope you've heard the name Roy Rogers.
Oh, sure, I've heard the name Roy Rogers.
Do you know I was talking to some people on a football show a week ago, and they didn't know who Jack Ham was?
Oh, well, that's less than ideal, isn't it?
No, it's like, hey, well, listen. I'm sorry, enough. My head's all over. My head is swimming with football season upon us. I'm over the moon.
Yeah, we're what? 8 days away from Eagles Cowboys. By the way, the most boring choice they could have picked for that, by the way. I could think of multiple other games on the Eagles schedule that I would have liked to. You could have just ran back Eagles Commanders from the NFC title game, and people would have been like, yes, sign me up, Jaden Daniels week 1. But instead, the most status quo game you could have gone with, you went with. It pisses me off. Everybody's going to watch it. I'm going to be very happy to be watching it. But it feels like the Cowboys have kicked off week 1 either on Thursday night or Sunday night in each of the past 5 years. And I'm just kind of over it.
I assume that if you polled the objective Football American, that the opinion would be similar to your opinion about the Cowboys would be similar to what most people hold about the Steelers. Right. Like, it's enough already. We get it.
Oh, really?
I think so.
I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, the most popular teams, the metrics that evaluate such things, jersey sales and all of that, and viewership, and however they cobble that thing together. It's Cowboys, Steelers, Raiders, and then it really just shows that American society is a bunch of front runners. It's Niners and Packers, and like the long-standing teams from the 70s and 80s are still the most popular.
Fair enough. Well, yeah, let's talk about the Steelers, hence the name of the show.
Mm.
You and I fall on, somewhat of a different spectrum when it comes to what they've done at quarterback. Obviously, bringing in Aaron Rodgers after a year in which they brought in Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. They've, since Omar Khan took over, have been a bit more aggressive than what they were with Kevin Colbert. And I think looking at them, just on paper right now, they were a 10-win team last year, 10-3 at one point before the bottom completely fell out. Bringing in Aaron, bringing in the defensive additions that they've brought in, I fully expect them to win at least 10, and I'm going to allow myself to believe they'll win 11, and maybe, just maybe, Shaq, win the AFC North. Because historically speaking, since division realignment in 2001, no team has ever won the division 3 consecutive years. Baltimore has won it in the last 2, and if we're going off history, they won't do it again, which brings us down to probably Cincinnati and Pittsburgh, and the Bengals are a 4-man show and a bunch of groupies. With the Steelers are a little bit deeper. I think that there's a greater than 0 chance that we're talking about Aaron Rodgers leading the Steelers to an AFC North title. What do you say?
I don't see a division crown in the offing unless, and I'm too good a human being to root for the injury of the best player on rivals.
Sure.
But if that's where your head is, I think it would require Lamar Jackson having to sit down for a long stretch for the Ravens not to win the division. And it's not just about Lamar Jackson, it's the overall roster. Although I think one of the 2 things that haven't been thoroughly covered, given the 365 conversation around pro football, 2 things that have kind of sort of slipped through the cracks a little bit are, 1, replacing Justin Tucker. And it does sound like, based on the 60-yard kicks and everything else, and where we are in man's recorded history, that so many people that there are now so many guys who can boot 50-plus yard field goals with consistency. It kind of has spoiled the sport. That's a conversation for another day. But replacing a guy whose wins above replacement had to be up there in all of pro football. I mean, how many games, how many seasons did Justin Tucker make for the Ravens over the last decade? Sincerely, since Billy Cundiff misses that kick in Foxborough and they solve it with Justin Tucker, for real, getting across midfield was enough to put them into a scoring position. And how many times did that impact Harbaugh's thinking, the approach to the game? It's like, we're on the 45, just run the ball here. We don't need to press it here. We'll be able to scratch 3 out of this drive. And how many games did that swing? And how many times did they make the playoffs as the result of being able to do that? And the other one is, with the Ravens, is everybody talks about top to bottom how good their roster is, and obviously it's pretty strong. My concern is specifically with pass rush. Kyle Van Noy, you think he's going to cover it up again? I mean, how old is he now? And he's their number 1. That's not a small matter. So I can get into the cynicism game about the Ravens. I don't think it's enough for Pittsburgh to catch them. The Bengals are fascinating, though, that they essentially, even with Trey Hendrickson now back, they basically resolved at the behest of their superhero quarterback to run it back. And it's like, you know what happened last year, right? You didn't make the playoffs.
Can you remember a time or a team at any time that has had this much hype with basically the same roster, knowing what we know they did last year, but everybody's still like, I can't quit the Bengals. This is still, a Super Bowl caliber team. I can't recall, at least in my lifetime, where we've seen something like that.
Yeah, and it's funny, and you can go both ways. Maybe they know better, as it turns out, since they're in it every day. Maybe they happen to have a better understanding than we do sitting on our couches. But Lou Anarumo, to my eyes, made the Bengals relevant by tuning up that defense, and they were not as I keep saying, he didn't get the Bengals. He's their old defensive coordinator. If you don't know, now he's in Indianapolis. And in a related matter, I think the Colts are going to be better for having him there, much like Vic Fangio tuned up the Eagles a year ago. I wouldn't be surprised if the Colts are sort of a poor man's version of that the defense emerges there in Indy. Either way, Anarumo, he didn't get Cincy when they made the Super Bowl and almost made it the next year. It's not like they were a top 3 defensive unit, but he made them relevant. He made them okay. He made them put them in a spot where they were competitive with the Chiefs and otherwise. But did they solve this now, or is there a case to be made that they're going to be even worse than they were a year ago because Anarumo is one of the best defensive coordinators in the game, and they kicked them out the door?
And obviously it's a preseason game and whatnot, but the Commanders starters, I mean, Bill Krosky-Merritt is running through a hole the size of the state of Ohio, and they get downfield in 3 plays on the Bengals starters. Like, that's less than ideal, for your final preseason game to look at that and be like, yeah, we're good. Al Golden will save the day for this defense. So I do have my trepidations when it comes to Cincinnati. And our mutual buddy, Matt Verderam, we had this conversation where he's like, the Steelers are a better roster, but if they were playing in like a big game, I'd still probably pick Cincinnati. I think that's kind of where I fall when it comes to those two. But in terms of the hierarchy of the division, it's hard for me to not put Pittsburgh at number 2 over the Bengals just because the roster is so thin for them. Let's look at the overall hierarchy.
Styles make the fight, though, and I think I'm a little bit, I have not updated it in my brain, and that's a dangerous thing to do. But in the AFC North stylistic matchups, it seemed like before last year, the Steelers had the Ravens number.
Mm-hmm.
The Browns had the Bengals
number. Yeah.
The Bengals had the Ravens. No, the Ravens had
the Bengals number. Yeah.
And so that didn't play out last year, although they did get Lamar in that first one, did Pittsburgh. But yeah, that is, I think that's not a small thing either. I think you have to consider that the Bengals do with Joe Burrow seem to, at their best, seem to be able to take care of Pittsburgh, although last year not the case. But I mean, I think the big thing is, by the way, and I know you said let's move on. The one thing,
no, totally okay.
When you talk about the roster and where it is right now, I legit think the defense should be mighty. I think it should be one of the best defenses in the conference, and if it is, then largely. What you want is move the chains, Aaron, but grind them up on the ground and play complementary offense.
Aren't you over that as a Steelers fan, though, Shek? I am. I'm like, Tomlin would win games 11-10 every week if it was up to him, and that's what bothers me so much. And I know, and I'm over it. I'm very over it. Nothing against Mike as a guy or anything. He seems like a tremendous human, but as a coach, I fear that the game is beginning to pass him by when it comes to his approach to winning games. You can do that and beat mediocre to bad teams, but we've seen it, for the past 8 years when they've gotten into the playoffs, or the past 8 playoff games or whatever it is, where you try to do that against Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. It's going to bite you in the butt if you don't have the horses to put up points. You're not going to be able to limit those guys to 17 points. You have to have an offense that can score. And, what's the last huge win for the Steelers outside of the AFC North? Because I think it would probably be 2018 against the Patriots, when it ended up not meaning anything because they missed the playoffs anyway.
Oh, I mean, there are examples that we can throw out. I mean, when they beat the Bills in the opener up in Buffalo.
Oh yeah, I did forget about that. Yeah.
They won in Cincinnati 3 years ago with Mitchell Trubisky to start the season in that weird game. You said outside the AFC North. Yeah. I hear you. The thing that's tough is Tomlin is the greatest floor raiser of the millennium. Yeah. And there's the people are like, dude, I think this is the year, or the national voices more, who are like, this is the year where Tomlin gets got.
We do the song and dance every year, Shek.
They're just that's just not going to happen. You're not paying attention if you think that's going to happen. Not with where this roster is, not with the head coach who almost made the playoffs with Duck Hodges, and with Ben, and did make it with Ben Roethlisberger when he couldn't move, and with the 3-headed monster of Rudolph and Trubisky and Pickett and all the rest of it. You obviously, and Russell Wilson was not good, as I told you he wouldn't be last year, and they still got into the playoffs. Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, I mean, whatever you can throw out as an issue you have with them is that's my issue with Aaron Rodgers. Do you think, same as the Browns, do you think Joe Flacco is getting you to the Super Bowl this year? No, then why bother? Why are you not treating this as a season to evaluate the youngsters you have? obviously the Steelers didn't draft in such a way. That's why I thought they should have taken Jackson Dart when he was sitting there. And if Jackson Dart ends up being great, I think that's bad for Mike Tomlin and Omar Khan's process, that they kicked it down the road. Because again, unless, and if you really think that a division title is in play, then that means you think that there is a path for them to get to the Super Bowl. And if there is, then great. But I don't see it that way. And so that to me then makes this season just a moot point. What are you going to get other than Tomlin, who doesn't seek comfort, seeking the comfort that Aaron Rodgers also seeks, which is washing off the stink of like, man, not so great in big games lately. And if they win a playoff game, if they were to go to Buffalo in the wild card round and knock them off, things would feel very different. We would be like, see, look at the magic they made. And then if they lose to the Chiefs or the Ravens in the play, your point is the same point I always make. Mm-hmm. You can only 12-11 games. You can knuckleball games only so much. It's not just, you're not going to do it 3 times in January. So then what are we doing?
Yeah. And I think, is there a path for the Steelers to get to the Super Bowl? That's a good question. I mean, I'm not going to say that they're going to do it. Would I say there's a greater than 0% chance? Sure. I'm not sitting here picking them to do it. A successful season for them. It's the same thing I said last year. If they win a playoff game this year, great job. I'm not going to go in with the expectation that they'll make a run to the Super Bowl or anything like that. But I think that internally, like they hear the outside noise like, yeah, you haven't won a playoff game in damn near a decade. It's the longest they've ever gone without a playoff win in the Super Bowl era. Figure it out. And it
matters more what R2 is saying inside the building.
Yes.
Win a playoff game already. Would you guys?
Yeah. And, you know, I do think that those national voices have started to come around to that, where for the longest time, if you dare said a bad word about Mike Tomlin, you were crucified on whatever app you want to sit on and be crucified on. But after the loss to Baltimore, like a lot of people were like, okay, you know, maybe this thing's kind of run its course and both sides would be better off with a new start. And I think you and I were kind of in the same boat quarterback wise, where I was like, yeah, bring back Justin Fields for a year and see if he can be your guy. And if not, you draft a guy in 26, whatever. So when they did
a much more straightforward path, and it should have carried over from last year, which was, sorry, Russ, I know we promised you the gig, but that's what it's owed to, is Mike Tomlin, you know, being vet friendly and saying to Russ, like, you get the keys when you're healthy, and ignoring that the team was in a decent spot with Justin Fields, and also provided the bridge into 2025 and then into 2026. The Rodgers thing, if you really want to make clear, I think Rodgers at 41-42 is not Aaron Rodgers, but he is probably going to win an extra game or two versus if you had rolled with, say, Mason Rudolph.
Sure.
And then unless, again, that is going to yield a legitimate shot at the Super Bowl, then what was the point of doing that when the stated goal is we got to get to 2026 and get the long-term answer at QB? Mike Tomlin is the one who said that. So you're kind of working at cross purposes, which I get. You want to win a playoff game. You want to be relevant every year. And I appreciate that as a Steelers fan. I am not big on like, yeah, you just take the year off. You got to take your medicine. I'm not big on that. I like that the Pittsburgh Penguins kept Crosby and Malkin and Letang, and I'm in the minority on that. I think I'm
happy that they kept Crosby, sort of happy they kept Malkin. Chris Letang's bad at hockey now, and I think that
he is bad at hockey, but that's the price of doing business. And I care not as much about what Chris Letang wants as much as if that's what Sidney Crosby wants, then he's earned the right to call his shot. Joe Burrow, maybe a little less so, but still he's calling his shot. And if Mike Tomlin's shot, calling his shot is, we got to get the long-term answer at QB. And that, well, then you shouldn't have done this, man, because it gets you further away practically from a high pick.
Let me play devil's advocate there, because I've said for the past 6 months that I can see into the future and I know exactly what they're doing. They're doing exactly what the Buffalo Bills did to get Josh Allen. They're probably going to be a playoff team. They're going to sit with pick 21, 22. I think they're going to trade up not once, but twice, where they'll move up from maybe 22 to 12. And then if they see a guy that they really like, Sellers, Aller, Klubnik, whoever the hell it is, sitting there at 6, and it's like, all right, you know, we have all these comp picks. We got a bunch of extra picks this year. We'll then move up again from 12 to 6, get our guy, clean off our hands. Here we go. Let's hope that he's the future of this franchise, and we can move forward with them. That's what I fully anticipate to happen.
That's all, man. It's like, first of all, the 50-50 coin flip that is drafting quarterbacks in the first round is one legit thing to regard in your theory, which I agree with, exactly what you just said. But also, it assumes that Michael Penix level talent or JJ McCarthy, and it depends what you think, is going to land there. Even since the 2018 draft with Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson going at the very end of the first round, if a guy is halfway worthwhile, I mean, Anthony Richardson was perceived to be that by the Colts, obviously. Yeah. Those guys are, I am now skeptical that a guy like Josh Allen would even make it into the double digits of the draft. I mean, a couple of years ago, Jaden Daniels was 2 and Drake May was 3. I mean, and then you start getting into to the deeper. So, the guys that are worthwhile, if you land at 12, that's not going to be sufficient to get the real deal guys.
Well, that's why you got to trade up again to 6. Yeah. So don't worry. I think if you're a Steelers fan, I think teams that you got to keep an eye on, at the corner of your eye, watch the Tennessee Titans this year. Keep an eye on what their record is, because they just drafted Cam Ward. They're probably not going to be very good. They'll probably have the 6th or 7th pick. And if you can trade up to 12, and then Tennessee's sitting there, they're not going to take a quarterback, and you can say, hey, we'll give you 12 along with a few other picks if you let us move up a few spots here so we can take a quarterback. Teams like that are ones you want to circle if you're a Steelers fan, knowing they're probably not going to take a quarterback, but they're going to be bad. So just keep that in the back of your mind.
Don't go getting amnesia, man. Don't forget what happened with the Commies. They were a punchline. Then they drafted a quarterback. That's fair. And then they were in the title game. So that's idea, fair. A lot of people have already decided to throw dirt on the Titans before the season kicks off. And I know the AFC is loaded and everything else, and I don't have the Titans going to the playoffs, but it's not implausible that team makes some hay this year with their rookie quarterback.
No, that's fair. And we had Justin Graver on my other show, The Pump Fake, a few weeks ago, breaking down everything with Tennessee. Everybody can go watch that or listen to it wherever you get your podcast. We'll be right back after this word from ZipRecruiter. This episode of Believe in Steelers is brought to you by ZipRecruiter. Finding great candidates to hire can be very difficult. You get too many resumes and not enough candidates with the right skills or experience. But not with ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter finds amazing candidates for you and fast. And right now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/audio. ZipRecruiter's smart technology identifies top talent for your roles quickly. Immediately after you post your job, ZipRecruiter's powerful matching technology starts finding candidates that are qualified for your job right away. Ditch the other hiring sites and let ZipRecruiter find what you're looking for, that needle in the haystack. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try it for free at this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/audio. Again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/audio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. All right. Back on Believe in Steelers. Jarrett Bailey here with you with Dave Dameshek. We are brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. And as it is every year, by the way, Shek, the win total over at FanDuel for the Steelers, 8.5, which everybody and their mother, I mean, if you are a betting man, should go over and hammer that with.
I say it every year. As soon as those numbers come out, just jump on that. It's the perennial easiest bet that you'll ever see. By the way, while you were doing that little ad read, I noticed that because it's not in the frame while I'm talking to you right now for the viewer, I noticed a Penn State pennant.
Oh yeah, it's right over here. Yeah,
one of these Nittany Lion people says, "You, hey, tell whoever runs that program to grow a spine and play the Pitt Panthers, would you?"
I'm not in charge of that.
Shame on you, cowards.
I do believe that if and when that does happen again, Penn State will happily throttle.
Then great. That's a great thing to have another strike in the win.
Agree, they should play.
If it's so easy to beat Pitt and play them and take the easy win, why wouldn't you do that? I don't get it.
Did you go to Pitt?
Easy? No, I grew up in Pitt Stadium, though.
Okay.
I was I'll tell you how old I am.
Okay.
I was at we've both been, as you know, longtime Pittsburgh sports fans. We've been through the ringer.
Sure.
I was at both. I sat there in Heinz Field for both Patriots losses in this millennium. Sucks. Terrible. I was there for the David Volek tragedy in the Igloo in '93. I've witnessed a lot. I remember sitting on my couch watching the Francisco Cabrera hit, and so it goes. To this day, the greatest pain I've ever suffered as a Pittsburgh sports fan was 1981 undefeated Pitt. Dan Marino taking Pitt improbably to a national title. They had already committed to the Sugar Bowl to play mighty Georgia, where they would hoist the number one finger once again 5 years after they did it first against Georgia in that same Sugar Bowl. Penn State came to town, biggest game of the century, beast of the East. Danny Marino threw 2 touchdown passes to Dwight Collins right out of the gate. Tried to jam in a third one right at the goal line. It was intercepted by a Nittany Lion. And final score, Pitt 14, Penn State 48. I've never been the same. I've never been the same. I've been jaded ever since. As a young child, it spoiled my worldview.
Yeah, I mean, obviously being a Penn State fan, I went to Slippery Rock. So even so, I didn't go to Penn State. I grew up, my dad was a Penn State fan. So naturally it just, became a thing. So, I have a little bit of a bias on who I'd like to be the Steelers' next quarterback, whoever they draft next year, maybe a certain number 15.
Dude, I'll support it just like I've done Kenny Pickett.
And look, if Kenny Pickett would have been great, I would have loved it. I don't have like a Pitt. Actually, that's a lie. I have a Pitt bias because like my thing is like get your own stadium so the Steelers can paint the end zones yellow every week. That's my only qualm with Pitt.
Well, they should have. I mean, listen, I said it at the time. This is not 2020 hindsight. The idea that, and I think there were maybe some early returns that made me look bad when people are like, it's great for recruiting because you can tell these 17-year-old kids, like, we're in the same building as a pro football team. So if that's your aspiration, you'll be real close to the NFL by sharing a stadium. I think time has proven out that I was right all along. An on-campus stadium, giving that up to share a joint with the Steelers has not paid off the way they anticipated it would. They need to get an on-campus place. A night, you know what? You don't need no 60,000 like old Pitt State. Just give us a nice 35,000 seat joint. That'll be great.
And honestly, like that's probably like roughly the number that shows up now for Pitt games. If I had to guess, like that would be fine. That's fine for Pitt. Do that. Put it in Oakland rather than making everybody go over the bridge.
But it has no vibe either. It's the same thing as going to a UCLA football game in Pasadena when you're when you're going to college in Bel Air. Wait, I got to get on a bus to go see my college team.
Right.
I'll just stay here and drink. Why, it's just no vibe. There's no spirit to it. The idea that you could walk out of your dorm and up the hill, up Cardiac Hill or otherwise to go watch your team play is, that's self-evident why you would want to do that if you're 19 years old.
Yes. And by the way, Slippery Rock, to relate this to the NFL, a couple years ago in the D2 playoffs were eliminated by one Tyson Bagent and Shepherd University. Where he threw for about 1.5 miles on Slippery Rock's defense. So, a little bit of some crossover there.
I've never been on the Slippery Rock campus.
Oh, it's a lovely time. If you're ever back in PA, I'll give you a driving tour. I go back every year to speak to a class or two. It's a good time. Yeah, we can.
I'm glad you do that, but no thanks. I got other things. I'm there for a limited amount of time. I don't think I need to make
fair.
Hit a rock.
You're probably there seeing family. Actually, no, I gotta go visit Slippery Rock with a friend real quick.
We'll do that, and we'll go over Clarion. We'll see it all. We'll see. We can check out Waynesburg.
I grew up in Clarion. It's perfect. Yes.
Terrific. I think Dan Marino used to like to go there.
There you go. Let's talk about receivers real quick. Apparently, every receiver under the sun that is reported to be available or a free agent is going to be a Steeler. Fewer names now because we're seeing guys like Marquez Valdez-Scantling, who signed with the 49ers. That feels like a bullet dodge. That's a very boomer bust type of guy. I don't care that he played with Aaron before. That didn't move the needle for me. If I had to guess right now, one of these 5 will be a Steeler. Jacoby Myers is the dream. Romeo Doubs would be pretty good. Juwan Jennings is a fine bronze. Kendrick Bourne and Gabe Davis are okay, sure, better than what they currently have. One of those 5 will be a Steeler.
It's hard for me to imagine how Juwan Jennings could happen practically with the Niners.
I don't know. They just they traded for Sky Moore and signed Marquez Valdez-Scantling checks. So, they're really
maybe
loaded
that is
up.
what they're setting themselves. Well, I mean, so wait, Ayuk is down for the first 4, right?
First 4 at least. And then obviously Pearsall, they're hoping is going to be their 1. But, there's a lot that we don't know there.
I like that Niners team this year, by the way, slept upon across the land.
They'll be better than what they were last year.
I think it'll be a playoff team, and they're a great bet for the number 1 seed, as a matter of fact, based on the
I was leaning Rams in that division. And then, when words like immortal chamber start being thrown around when it comes to Matthew Stafford's back, I think I've backed off the Rams a little bit. So San Francisco, you could talk me into them winning that division.
Well, plus, I mean, Nick Bosa running into Stafford, the Seahawks' mighty defense, the Cardinals are intriguing at least. I'm trying to think of, I guess the Myers thing does sort of, the math does work out on that to happen.
I feel it looks like they're gearing up to move him, even though they're saying they don't want to. I mean, we know all the time there's a lot of things that are said that don't actually happen. And the fact that as soon as it gets reported that he wants traded, they sign Amari Cooper as like some sort of insurance, that feels like that's some connective tissue there that a move could be happening.
I buy, and so if you're asking me which one of those do I think will happen, it's weird that Gabe Davis, it's been at least 2 visits without,
and he left without a contract both times. Yeah.
So I otherwise would say it's going to wind up, we're going to land on Gabe Davis, and so we'll all be unsatisfied. But I think that the results are in. They would have already signed him at this point, I think. I mean, unless he's just so sober that he can take the news from Omar Khan, like, if we can't upgrade anywhere else, then we'll give you a call, Gabe.
Right.
Like, I don't know, like if you're such a pro that you deal with, like, you are our absolute 2 a.m. fallback. If we can do any better, we're going to do it.
If the girl we actually want to go home with says no, and then our second option doesn't answer her phone, then all right,
just don't mute your phone.
We'll give you the "Are you up?" text.
So yeah, I guess I if given a choice of those names, I would say Myers is it. I got to say, I mean, because I've bellyached a lot about it, and I'm not trying to perform, negativity in the name of doing. I mean, this is 2 years now.
Yes,
with Omar Khan and Mike Tomlin not getting a second wide receiver. Yeah. And by the way, there is no excuse. And what you don't understand, Dave, is that George Pickens' teammates had tired of his act. He was really a distraction, everything else. He's in a contract year. Again, back to professional and sober and all of that kind of thinking. If George Pickens, who is a year older, by the way, and I don't know if you've noticed, but when people get a couple of years older, away from college, and they're 21 and then they turn to 23, people tend to mature a little bit with each passing year. Not everybody. Also, his agents, and I'm sure George Pickens' family is even like, 1 year, man. Just 1 year, behave yourself, and the next 100 years for your family will be all set because you balled out for that 1 year. And made tens of millions of dollars as a result of it with your second contract. That is exactly where you want George Pickens. And if you had DK Metcalf and George Pickens and the stated goal of grinding you up on the ground and throwing multiple tight ends out there, really consider what the defense is supposed to do. Think about just practically. I know that situation. I mean, obviously you watch the Bengals play as an AFC North guy, so you see that energy, like, can't cover them both. And if you really devote a ton of personnel to trying to cover those guys up, those tight ends are going to be free in the seam all day long. Why did you not just keep George Pickens? Why? And by the way, you failed George Pickens a year ago by not. But Brandon Ayuk, we're after Brandon Ayuk. Brandon Ayuk used you guys. This is the brain trust. This is the mighty Pittsburgh Steelers brain trust is getting worked over by Brandon Ayuk and his reps a year ago. And the lesson you learn from that is to repeat it, is to do the exact same thing this year. We'll figure it out. You haven't figured it out, and the season's about to kick off, fellas.
Yeah, and my whole fear with this entire thing was that they would go bargain bin hunting for that number 2, and that looks like what could happen if they do sign, a Gabe Davis, or if they trade a current, like a draft pick that currently equals like a 5th string receiver that's currently on a Conference USA team to get Kendrick Bourne. And I was like, all right, like what are we doing here? So hopefully. There's reports also coming out that they contacted the Raiders, but they wanted the Raiders to eat some of Jacoby Myers' massive $10 million salary. Like, stop being cheap. If you're claiming that you're all in, fucking go all in and get somebody. And like,
it's you and I are singing the same song. It's what I've said all in. I don't know what that even means. All in. I mean,
I don't know. Jerry Jones seems to have his own definition of all in too. And last year it was signing Eric Kendricks and Ezekiel Elliott. So
they're all. If you were all in, you would have kept George Pickens. And it's like, wow, he was a headache in the locker room. Like, oh, good. Well, then look at everybody who they've just brought in. They went out of their way to bring in a bunch of great guys. Like everybody, like Jalen Ramsey's never made any trouble. Aaron Rodgers has never said bad about the team that he's on. Darius Slay. I mean, what are we doing? DK Metcalf, by the way. I mean, like that. They're like, well, you can't have a guy who's not all about team. Like, what about all the guys you just brought in? Maybe you're all in. You keep George Pickens for this year and really try to overwhelm NFL defenses. Like, good luck stopping DK Metcalf and George Pickens and an offense that is intent on beating the hell out of you as we go along.
All right, so let's talk about the hierarchy of the AFC. We'll play a little game real quick. I'll name a team in the AFC. We can decide if the Steelers are better than that team. So we'll get the first 2 out of the way because we know they're not. Kansas City, Buffalo are probably both no's, correct?
Yeah, I like the Bills a ton this year.
Okay. Baltimore will probably be the 3rd team for both of us, or do you have somebody else there?
I definitely have Baltimore. Lame, but that's your 1, 2, 3.
Those are
he's up there, and the other one I'll throw in there just to cut to the chase is the Chargers. I buy the Chargers. Okay. I get it that if you're predicated on what Jim Harbaugh wants to do and you lose your left tackle in August, that's not great. I think that the Harbaugh magic will be enough. And the thing that people don't talk about is that the Chargers defense was statistically at least good a year ago. And I don't see a reason why that's going to change this year. And I buy the Chargers in year 2 of Harbaugh.
I don't buy the Chargers. So I would take the Steelers over the Chargers right now.
Okay.
And I think a lot of that does predicate off the fact that the offense has this all-world talent at quarterback. And Jim Harbaugh hires Greg Roman to play offense like it's 1962. And they have Ladd McConkey and behind him, the corpse of Keenan Allen. And I mean, if you're free on Sundays every once in a while, maybe they'll give you a call to be their number 3 receiver because nobody else out there is going to be making plays for Herbert. Najee Harris can only see out of one eye, I think, right now. Defensively, I don't like, they're not a bad team. Like Derwin James is still there and whatnot. But I just don't buy them as a team that's going to make a lot of noise. They could, contend for a playoff spot. And that wouldn't surprise me too much, but I do think the Steelers are a better team than the Chargers. What do you think? Sticking in that division, the Broncos, yes or no?
I like the Broncos. The defense is going to be great. As it turns out, when I sided with Sean Payton, and the Russell Wilson pursuit as it was happening, I said, like, what Sean Payton now doesn't know about quarterbacks, Pittsburgh, and people are like, dude, don't know nothing. Look at what he's all Drew Brees. Yeah, he sought out Drew Brees, by the way, everybody. And he sought out Bo Nix and it made the playoffs with Bo Nix a year ago. They're going to be better than they were a year ago. So
see, I don't know about that one either, Shaq. Because if you look at my whole thing about the Broncos, their defense is going to be awesome. I completely agree on that. But if you look at their record against teams that were playoff teams last year, they didn't really have a marquee win last year. I think it's going to be a little bit tougher of a schedule. Bo Nix had a really good year, but I fear that we could see a Mac Jones type fall off where he has a really good rookie year, and that's kind of where he peaks. Broncos fans, by the way, I mean, they're well aware of my feelings. I had to get a tattoo because I lost a bet to the Broncos fans.
Is that right? Which would you get?
Well, so last year, Peter Schrager, formerly of Good Morning Football, predicted that Denver would make the postseason, and I was obviously very on the other side of that. And so I, in my my thick head, quoted his tweet. And I said, if the Broncos make the postseason, I will get GMFB tattooed on my body. And lo and behold.
Oh, I did see. Okay, I'm sorry. I did see you did that. Should have been. What you should have done is make one of your legs. Remember, they used to have the vertical socks, the brown and white vertical socks. That you should have had to get that tattooed on one of your.
Oh, like the throwback socks? That would have been fun.
Yeah, that would have been something. I would have held you to an even uglier standard. Yeah, I mean, I guess it comes down to in the QB league what you think the QB's progress is going to be from 1 to 2. I think that the people who keep citing what you just did, that statistic, the close games and everything else is like, well, yeah, that'll be offset by Bo Nix being better next year.
And look, he very well could be. I would feel more confident in that if they had anybody on offense not named Cortland Sutton, like worth a piss. Frankly speaking, I just don't think there's any receivers there that scare me. The one that a lot of people were talking up, Devon Vele, they traded to the Saints. So offensively, like I believe in Sean Payton as a floor raiser on that side of the ball. Defensively, I think that will be, and again, this is similar to the Chargers where I don't think they're going to be bad. I think they're going to be better than the Chargers, but I don't think that they'll be. If I had to pick one that I think will do better, Denver or Pittsburgh, I would still take Pittsburgh in the AFC hierarchy.
I think Denver and Pittsburgh are about on par. I
was going to say level playing field.
Two of the three best defenses in the conference, statistically and otherwise.
Would you take the Steelers over the Texans?
I do take them. I do too. Think that. I mean, QB fungibility awesome. And all that kind of stuff. But so Joe Mixon is now sounds like he's tracking to just miss the whole season. And so now Nick Chubb, and I don't love that. The offensive line, they changed it. I don't know that it's a tick better than it was a year ago.
I think it's worse than what it was last year somehow when it was already very bad.
And if you talk in a vacuum about a lot of different teams, like we just did the Broncos and like we did Pittsburgh, Texans also, boy, that defense should be great. But how many different times can you say, and I said it about the Chargers too, that defense is good. The Chiefs defense, at least in terms of pieces and the track record and all the rest of it adds up to the defense should be real good in KC. And it seems like Baltimore is good despite the pass rush, like we talk about. So the thing when people lean on the Texans, it's Stroud, rightly, and two is like, the defense. It's going to be a lot of teams are going to have good defenses this year. I'm not terribly keen on Houston this year.
I feel like we're going to be having.
I got the Colts winning the division. If you want a real hot take.
Oh, Shaq. All right, this is where I'm going to severely push back on you. You realize that their quarterback is Daniel Jones, Shaq.
Worst quarterback in the division. How about that? I get it. My guy, Jeff Schwartz, was on Football America last week, and we had this conversation, and he laughed, and so be it, as will most people. But Lou Anarumo going from Cincy, watch the poor man's effect. Same thing as Vic Fangio in Philly. Hear me now, believe me later. The Colts defense is going to be good. Jonathan Taylor behind a good offensive line. They do not have the Chiefs or the Ravens or the Chargers in their division.
That's true. That's fair.
Who do you love? You love the Jags? I mean,
unfortunately, I'm going to pick the Jags to win that division.
All right.
Just because the jury's out on Liam Cohen. Obviously, it's his first year as a head coach. I think that people believe that I don't know where you fall on the Trevor Lawrence thing. I don't think the jury's out on Trevor Lawrence. The last time that he was fully healthy, he led them to a playoff win over the Chargers and gave the Chiefs a fight in Arrowhead. And then the following year, at one point, 8-3, they were the number 1 seed in the AFC. And then he gets a CVS receipt of injuries, and Jacksonville still asked him to be Superman, and he just couldn't do it. And then by week 4 last year, everybody around him was checked out. He gets an injury that, they just put him on the shelf for the rest of the year because they realized there was nothing to play for. I think with a healthy Trevor Lawrence, a better defense in which they've upgraded this year, and an extra weapon, 2 extra weapons. They just traded for Tim Patrick, Travis Hunter on offense to complement Brian Thomas. I think that quarterback overall takes over this division, and I think he's the best one. He'll end up being the best one in this division by the end of the year, and they'll win the South.
I mean, the simple formula is best quarterback wins the division.
Right, sure.
And that does play out a crazy amount of the time. If you want to eliminate all the other factors and just boil it down to that, that is, if you bet strictly based on who's the best quarterback in the division, and that's the team I'm going to bet to win the division, you would make money doing it. And so I know I'm going completely against that by saying Danny Dimes.
And look, I can applaud that because, every year there's at least one or two teams that we think are going to suck and end up doing. I mean, nobody thought the Commanders were going to be good, and they did very well. Obviously, it's a different situation. They don't have a Jaden Daniels or anything, but I'm not going to say it's impossible because, of course, it's not impossible. I would still say that the Steelers are better than the Colts, though. Are we on at least a...
Yeah,
okay.
Agree on that. Agree on
that. Who else haven't we touched? I mean, they're better than Cleveland. Who else in the AFC South? Tennessee, they're better than... okay, they better than the Dolphins? I say absurdly yes.
I think so. I also think that the Dolphins, I know the recurring theme for me is amnesia, but season to season, it is weird how you get spun up by conversations and the narratives that get attached to guys. And we've heard so much about Tua, and and I think the visual of the disturbing of him, the fencing and all that, we've seen that too many times from that guy in particular. And it all adds up to we don't have faith in him or in the head coach. And I think a lot of it has to do with empirical fact that Mike Daniel, that's a leader of men. Tua laying on the field doing this and all that, and he doesn't have a big arm and all that kind of stuff. People forget how good the Dolphins were 2 years ago, and people forget that Monday night game in Miami when they're up a couple of touchdowns on the Titans. If they just had held on to that game, which is a big if, but if they had held on there, they would have won the division, hosted Pittsburgh. They would have beaten Pittsburgh in the wild card round, and then our perception of the Dolphins would be very different. All that said, and by the way, they should be able to heat up the other team's quarterback if they can just catch a little break in terms of health. I think they're not a candidate you want to bet on favorably, though, because if things get sideways in September, they are a spiral down throughout the offseason.
If they start like 1-3. That thing's tail spinning and done. I bet the under for the Dolphins there. I think their over-under is also 8.5. I hammered the under on that. Yeah.
Somebody's got to be bad. You just got to do the math in your head. Everybody cannot get to 9 or 10 wins. And
right.
I don't think the Dolphins, I don't think the Raiders keep up with Pittsburgh, but I think they're fun this year.
I think they're better by default just because they have a grown-up at head coach, a grown-up at quarterback. They got better there, but they're not great at a lot of places. Defensively, there's a lot of holes there. Not named
better than the Patriots. They're fun, but I mean the big one is, I think they're better than the Jets. But the one I've pointed out over and over again is, just imagine if Aaron Rodgers. Do you think he'll take the American flag out onto the field at the Jet Stadium again, like he did 2 years ago, one way or the other? If all this adds up and Justin Fields beats Aaron Rodgers in week 1, where do we go from there, Jens? I mean, it'll be dark fast if that happens.
It will be. I will say on that game, though, bet the under. It's 38.5. Both those offenses are going to struggle. Rodgers and Metcalf didn't play at all in the preseason. Defensively, I think the Steelers will be able to handle Fields for the most part. He might have a couple big runs, but I don't think the Jets are going to put up a ton of points. That's a 17-13.
Well, they beat the Falcons a year ago. Everybody was excited about exactly that. And Russell Wilson, and what was that, 19? What was
18-16. Boswell kicked 6 field goals. He did that twice last year because he did it against Baltimore in the first game. The first game.
That's right, yeah. So, I was at that game. I couldn't even remember the final score.
So I fully expect low scoring. Watt will have a sack and a half, maybe one to seal the game. It'll be one of those things that comes down to the final drive.
If they lose that game, man, just put it in your brain, the discourse on Sunday night and Monday morning when the Pittsburgh Steelers is 0-1 because they just lost to Justin Fields. Imagine how that'll go.
So in terms of hierarchy, where are we putting them? Are we putting them 5th or 6th in the AFC?
Literally, I have them 6th in my AFC seedings.
All right. Well, before we get you out here, let's do, and we're going to be doing this over the next week or so, game by game. We're going to do some picks, and we'll see what that record's going to be. So week 1, I'm going to pick them to beat the Jets, but I do think it's going, like I said, 17-13 slugfest. It's going to be ugly. Where are you at?
I think legitimately, the vibes are going to be good and they're going to be having a lot of fun on the sidelines and everything, but like, do not get to the second half in a 1-score game. I mean,
it's like 10-3 going into halftime. Are we sweating a little bit?
I mean, they're not going to express concern until the second half and they are on the wrong side of the scoreboard. But I do think that if they are lucid, that they should feel a lot of pressure. I think that they probably are hopefully able to ignore the pressure that I see on them going into this game. Cause I mean, to me, it's so massive.
You think there's more pressure on the Steelers than the Jets?
Oh, I mean, of course. Nobody, the Jets are in a halfway decent spot. Like nobody thinks Justin Fields has to be the answer. They know that they can go back in. Aaron Glenn's his first game. People, good vibes. Like put up, good team spirit. Put up some fight that we didn't see the last couple of years. The standard is real low for the Jets going into this one. Steelers absolutely better win this game.
That's fair. It's
walking
like
off the field. Good game, Justin.
Yeah.
Hope we get you next time. Like, it's not, hey, sorry we let you go, Justin.
It's like a week 1 game in college football where like a powerhouse is facing a not so powerhouse. Where like if the latter team at least keeps it close, they can leave with high spirits. If the Steelers don't win, that's a very fair point. I do think that they will win though.
I agree.
Okay. Week 2, Seattle home opener. I think they're winning that. Sam Darnold caught lightning in a bottle last year. Salute to him. That's great. I don't see that happening this year. That offense doesn't scare me. Defensively, Seattle will be good. Offensively, they do nothing. I'll bet the under in that game too, but I think they're beating Seattle.
That's what I was going to say. That's the best play out of that one is to go under because Seattle's defense, along with Pittsburgh's,
just a pair of like 17-9 slugfest to start the year. Mike Tomlin couldn't be happier about it.
Exactly.
Week 3 at New England. I'm going to pick the Patriots to win this. Steelers haven't won in New England since 2008. And even then, that was when Matt Castle was in. They won 33-10 that year. I think the Patriots are going to be a playoff team this year. I like Drake May. Mike Vrabel's a proven winner, and I think their defense is going to be pretty good. So I'm going to pick New England to win that game.
I mean, another one. I'm not blind picking the under in this one. I assume that one's also going to be around 38.
Yeah, probably. You'll make plus money on the year if you just every year bet the under on whoever the Steelers are playing. That's
right.
Yeah.
I think that I'll take Pittsburgh in that one. The long-standing Tomlin versus a youngster at QB. A lot of the numbers you pull up about how Pittsburgh does against New England has to do with a different era. So
yeah, that's valid. That's very valid. Let's go to Ireland, week 4 against the Vikings. I think they win that game. I'm not a big JJ McCarthy guy. I am a huge Kevin O'Connell guy though. And I think that he is a floor raiser at the quarterback position. So I expect Minnesota's offense to be a bit of a handful. I think defensively, started off the year very, very hot, cooled off a little bit, but we're still like Brian Flores is a very good defensive mind. I do think that like the point that you just made, young quarterback, really, still practically a rookie. The Steelers will win in Ireland and go into the bye week for me at 3-1.
Okay. I'll buy that. Yeah. I'll say that they're 3-1, maybe 2-2, but
okay.
I think we're about close on that one. That should be a fascinating energy over there in Ireland with the Rooney connection. It's a big deal to the Steelers to specifically be in Ireland, not playing in an international game. But like I say, to be back in Dublin is significant. Does that have any value to 24-year-old cornerback on the team? Probably not.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, so then they have the bye week. Then they play the home game against the Browns. I think they'll beat Cleveland at home and get to 4-1.
Agree. I mean, that was the other one I had circled, though. What if Kenny Pickett starts
I
that
was
game
hoping
and wins in Pittsburgh?
To whatever God would listen to me, that somehow Pickett would start that game, and they traded him, and all my hopes and dreams went down the drain. But that would have been... I would have been so giddy because I mean, you and I.
They lost. You wouldn't be giddy.
No. I would have had to delete my Twitter account if they would have lost. Shaq. But I mean, we've followed each other and been friends for a little bit. You know how I felt about Kenny Pickett. Didn't think it was good, and felt pretty good after they traded him. If he would have came into Pittsburgh and beat them, I would have had to walk to the Clemente Bridge and just had a moment for myself where I was alone for a while.
Well, I liked spiritually, obviously, drafting Kenny Pickett when they got him. It made all the sense in the world to me. It requires 2020 hindsight to say that was a terrible thing to do. I know people expressed it at the time. I think you had to roll the dice, or else what are we doing here? If you're a provincial pro football team and you have the guy who almost won the Heisman for your college collective, you have to take him. You have to take the shot when you didn't do it with Marino, however many years before that. Just for the record, because people get on me like, oh, dude, you can't say bad about Kenny Pickett. I said that when right around in December, I said Kenny Pickett has not solved his drifting problem and his sharp pirouette to the left.
Yeah, the figure eight in the pocket that he liked to do.
I think he is spooked. I think I think he's terminally spooked by getting run into by sizable guys. And you could just see it like there's just not a solution to the fact that he is not seeing 10 yards over the line of scrimmage, just because like it is erased for him because he is spooked by the sea of humanity in front of it. And like, how are you ever going to solve that for a pro QB? You're not going to. Just for the record, I want to say, because people say like, dude, you're such a Pitt and Pittsburgh Steelers homer. You don't see, like, I told you before his season was over that it wasn't going to work out with Pickett.
Yeah. All right. So let's go to week 7 at Cincinnati. I think they lose in Cincinnati. So that gets them to 4-2.
Okay. With you.
All right. That's a Thursday night game, by the way. So short week. They traditionally, like as of late, they have sucked on Thursday night. So that's another thing that I'm taking into consideration. Because remember, Pickett's rookie year, Trubisky, they went into Cleveland week 2 Thursday night and lost, or week 3, early in the season and lost. They lose to New England, a bad New England team on Thursday night after they lose to a bad Cardinals team, and they lose 2 games in 4 days to two win teams.
That's
so
right.
Like Thursday night as of late has not been good. They lose to the Colts on, well, it's technically a Saturday night game, but a Thursday night football broadcast. So yeah, these
wasn't the Miles Garrett helmet game a Thursday nighter as well?
Yeah, that was yes, it was. So yeah, hasn't been their friend in recent memory. So I'm going to take them to lose that game.
I agree with that one.
And then week 8, Sunday night football against Green Bay with those throwback uniforms. I like those, by the way. Do you?
Oh no.
Oh, you don't like them? Oh.
A horror show.
Oh, I like them. I think that they're kind of fun. But obviously, yeah, the Packers facing Aaron Rodgers. I think that they beat Green Bay. But I do like Green Bay a lot this year. I'm a big Packers guy this year.
I'm bullish on the Packers too. I know it's a big spot for Aaron, but big spots for Aaron and Lambeau don't always work out, or generally don't work out. So yes, I'll take
it's at home though. So they have that in there.
Whoa. That game's in Pittsburgh?
That game's in Pittsburgh.
Oh my, I for months have operated under the belief that game was in Lambeau.
No, that is a home game for the Steelers.
Ooh, I am sorry. I don't do the exercise you're doing of the game by game kind of thing. I have this may change my travel schedule even. I thought that game was in Lambeau.
Are you going to go to it now? Did I just have a trip to Pittsburgh?
I might go to Pittsburgh to see that.
Should. Yeah.
Loving Rodgers.
And I don't know if you know this random bit of knowledge, but the Steelers record when Mike Tirico calls their games is astronomically good. And I don't know what the correlation is.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, for some reason, they just kick ass when Mike Tirico's in the booth. They lost last year to Dallas on Sunday night, which was kind of an anomaly. But for the most part, when Mike Tirico's on the call, at one point they were like 19-3 or something historically hilarious.
Give me the Packers in that one still. I think that one, I don't know what value it has that it's important to the organization, but it is very important to Gutekunst and LaFleur and everybody else that they take down Rodgers.
That's fair. That's very fair. The following week, they play the Colts at home. You're high on the Colts. I'm not. But as of late, the Colts have had the Steelers number. That's a game I could see them. Like, there's a game a year where I go in pretty confident that they're going to win, and they blow it. It was the Colts last year in Indy. I would like to think it's not going to be this one. I'll hesitantly say win, but I won't be surprised if they lose.
I'll take them to win that one, but that feels like so long ago now when you start naming the names. Brian Hoyer picking off Minka Fitzpatrick, who housed the ball. may as well have been 20 years ago at this point.
I was a junior in college that year. I remember sitting in my house at Slippery Rock and just going berserk to see 39 with a splash play. Yeah, it was a good time. Week 10 at the Chargers. The last time they went to Los Angeles to play the Chargers, it was one of Ben's last incredible games. He threw for over 350 on Sunday Night Football, almost rallied them back. They lose 41-37. I'm going to pick them to win this game.
I'm going to take them to lose that game. Obviously, I like the Chargers. And yeah, I was at the last two games. The last three times the Steelers have been in LA. I saw them beat the Rams with Pickett. I saw them lose that one to Herbert. And the memory I have above all others from that one is Chase Claypool falling down unnecessarily. When he would the unnecessary leaving of his feet on every ball that ever went in his direction was just crazy. And he did that in a critical spot. And I kind of think if you do the math on that they would have had a shot at winning the game if he would have caught the ball, stayed on his feet, and running into the end zone. Anyway, yes, Chargers win.
Claypool is the guy. He's 6'4" for no reason. He just never was great at high pointing or doing anything that a tall receiver you want him to do.
Right.
Yeah, Week 11, the Bengals. I said that they would split those games, so I'll have them beating the Bengals here, which means I'm going to play the hindsight game. I don't think they're going to be 10-2. They'll lose one of these. So the Colts, Chargers, I think they'll lose one of those and maybe be sitting at 9-3 then after the Bengals game.
So I have them. If I have it correct in my head, I have them at 4 losses at this point.
I think so. I think you have them with 4 losses. Yeah, so they would be 6-4 for you, and then 7-3 for me.
Knowing what's upcoming, I will say that they win that game.
Okay. At Chicago, I think they win that game. That is those are Monday night game. That is a Sunday 1:00 game. So I think they beat Chicago. You remember what happened the last time they were in Chicago, though? Mike Glennon overtime game.
That was the Villanueva wouldn't
standing in the tunnel. Yeah, I forgot about that. What a time! That was such a strange time.
Yeah, it's funny. I don't, because that became such a story, the Villanueva and the whole thing. The specifics of the game don't stand out that much to me, except that I remember it was just miserable. They had, you know what it was? It was Tariq Cohen.
Tariq Cohen had a long touchdown run to end the game. Yep.
Yeah. I'll take the Bears in that one.
Oh, okay. Are you high in the Bears this year? Just out of curiosity.
I like them. I think they're interesting. I think it's a slow burn. I would rather catch them early in the year. I think what is going to happen to the Lions, which is they're a playoff team and all of that, but much as the in between the Super Bowl year for the Eagles, that it was a slow decline for them 2 years ago when they lost both coordinators. I think that's what's going to happen to the Lions this year. They're not going to come out of the gate and be like, what happened to the Lions? But I think by December, you're going to be like, something's missing. What's off about this team? They lost the Wiz. He's coaching in Chicago now.
Yeah. Week 12, week 13, Jim Nantz and Tony Romo will be there for the CBS game of the week when Pittsburgh hosts the Buffalo Bills and when the Bills absolutely thwart the Steelers as they've seemed to do in the past few times they've played them. So I'm going to take Buffalo.
I'm going to take Pittsburgh in that one.
Oh, I'm surprised.
Listen, I'm not down on the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm not down on them.
Neither am I. I just think that Buffalo is
big spot.
Big spot. Yeah. If they don't lose by double digits, I'll be happy. Okay. I'll say that. Yeah. If it's an 8-point game,
you're flirting with, are they a Super Bowl contender or not? You don't think they can handle a team in their home building? I mean,
I think
they got to be able to, or else they're not a contender.
No. Like I said, I don't think they're going to be. I think it's a greater than 0 chance, but I don't think it's a 1% chance. I think they can beat certain teams in the wild card round, and other teams would have their way. I think Buffalo's one of those teams.
My issue, just to say again, my issue is not that they can beat anybody. The Steelers are capable of beating, and they have been for the last couple of years. The problem is, can they string that together 2 or 3 games in a row? No, they cannot. Playing with the method that they're applying here. Yep. That's why we ultimately arrive in the same destination, you and me, on where they are. It's that this that it's the Tomlin method of winning games that limits where they can go.
Right. Next week after that, they are in Baltimore, and I'm going to say they lose that game as well.
Agree.
Okay. Week 15, they host the Dolphins on Monday night, and I think that's going to be a public massacre, and they're going to destroy Miami.
If we're right about the wheels being off in Miami, which would be
there's a greater, talking about greater than zero chances. I think that there is a fun little chance that either Zach Wilson or Quinn Ewers are playing this game.
Okay. I hear that. Yeah, that should be a win.
Yeah. Following week, Sunday, another 4:25 game, CBS at Detroit. I think they win in Detroit.
All right. So based on where my head is, yeah, you know what? I'll say that there is a Lions mystique that exists that may not by the time that game happens.
I agree. And I think that they go in and win that game. Week 17 at Cleveland. For some reason, they continue to split with the Browns. I think that they'll lose to Cleveland in Cleveland.
They win. I say the Steelers win that one.
Okay. And then week 18, home for Baltimore. I think they win. They get that 11th win. Perhaps that's for the division, depending on how each team season goes.
Well, I mean, yeah, I think when you map it out, when you go through it like that, and even though I had the location of that Steelers-Packers game wrong, I mean, like, so maybe that swings things, but add, the game with Buffalo and then at Detroit, like, you can mess around with those high-end teams. Yeah. They will beat some of those teams. That's what the Steelers do, is they win games that you're like, okay, maybe they're legit if they can take down that team. That's what teams that you perceive to be Super Bowl contenders should be doing. Yeah, I like them. I cannot make my formal announcement yet. I like them in that 10 to 11 win area. Yes.
And if that does happen, like I said, there are some teams that I think that they can beat. If they're the number 5 seed and they go to, if the Colts win the AFC South and they go to Indy, I think they can certainly win that game. I think they can beat anybody in the AFC South. And if they were to play Baltimore or Cincinnati, I'd feel good about it just because they tend to go back and forth with those two teams. So I could see them winning that game. But if they draw Buffalo or Kansas City, I'm not going to have a lot of faith.
One last mention of amnesia.
Okay.
Keep in mind, we talk ourselves into like they couldn't go up there and win that game. And we have seen evidence in the last few years of like, when they're out on the field in the playoff game, they get whipped by the Ravens. Yes. As they did, you can kind of cobble together a path where that game didn't have to be as embarrassing as it was. And the one in Arrowhead a couple of years ago, but in between that one was the Buffalo game. And that one weirdly, because they lost, but with Mason Rudolph, people are like, you're such a homer. Like some of my pals were on me. Like you think Pittsburgh could have won that game. Like, did you watch it? Like, yeah. Did you watch it? The Buffalo Bills, in a 1-score game, went for it on their side of the field on 4th down and almost didn't get it. They almost didn't get it. The Steelers could have gotten the ball and taken the lead in the second half in Buffalo. That's just 2 years ago. That is the glass half full view of what Mike Tomlin can do. He can keep them in a game against anybody if things just go so way. It's just so severe that it is implausible to me that you can win 3 games that way 3 weeks in a row in this conference as it is currently constructed.
That's fair. But there we go. I think that's as good of a season preview wrapped up with current happenings with the Steelers as we could have done. Dave Dameshek, man, I appreciate every time I get to have you on whatever show I have you on. You are one of my absolute favorite humans in our profession. I love talking to you, and I'm very happy that you now have Football America that I can catch you on and tell everybody where they can catch it.
Wherever you find your audio podcasts or on YouTube, Football America, remember the exclamation point. It's all the difference there. And I'll leave you with this because we're conducting a poll right now on social media. If we can have a new American Idol every year, then in our actual most beloved activity in our society, pro football, we can have a new America's team every year. So we have a poll up there now. I'll leave you with my question. Should it stay the Cowboys, or are people more likely to be rooting for the Lions and or the Bills this year? And just to throw a fun one in there, I feel like the Packers belong in the mix for being America's team too. Can't be Pittsburgh. Why? Because when asked if you want to be America's team, Rooney rightly said, no, we're Pittsburgh's team. Black and gold over even red, white, and blue. Here we go, Steelers. Here we go. Let's get them this year.
Let's hope so. And yes, everybody go watch, listen, check out however you will, both audio, visual, Football America. The first few episodes have been very fun, and I have enjoyed it very much. You need to send me one of those hats that you're wearing for anybody watching this on YouTube. It says Crosby's backhand. So let's just enjoy what we have right now in terms of the optimism going into week 1 with the Steelers. Let's talk ourselves into the Penguins perhaps pulling something out of their butts this year and maybe making a run for one of the wild card spots in the NHL playoffs, and we get at least 3 more games of Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin playing playoff hockey at PPG Paints. And a good year of sports ahead for Pittsburgh. Let's cross our fingers and hope for the best, Shek.
And the thing we need, maybe as much as anything, is as soon as the season ends or at his Cy Young acceptance speech, Paul Skeens has to say, like, hey, I want to thank everybody. First things first, though, like, I'm not pitching another game for the Pittsburgh Pirates if Nutting isn't willing to add 1 bat to this lineup. If he did that, they would do it, and that would be that.
Do we think that Paul Skeens will do that, though?
He wouldn't do that because he tries to keep it classy. If he would do that, that would work. They would definitely be sufficiently shamed finally into being like, okay, fine. If they're stud, the best pitcher in baseball in the last quarter century, at least, publicly shamed them. In fact, he should give he should go to Bob Nutting and be like, I'm going to say this out loud into a microphone. I'm just saying it to you one-on-one. But if you don't promise me you're going to do it, I'm going to say it into a microphone. It's going to be embarrassing, Bob. Do you want that?
I like the way you think. You know, maybe we should get some sort of, I don't know, some sort of Batman villain symbiote to get to Paul Skeens and get inside his head a little bit, almost like a two-faced voice in his head and be like, come on, do it. Say it. Just do what you got to do. Say these things.
From a distance, could I be Paul Skeens with this mustache? I'm a little chunky like he is. You know, he's got he's got the baby fat. I don't know what my excuse is, but you know. I'm a lefty there. I'm a lefty there.
Are you?
Yeah.
I'm left for everything except writing and throwing, but golf, baseball, hockey, left-handed.
It's weird. It's very weird.
A little bit.
You must be able to hit the golf ball well then. You must be good at golf because that's the
Unfortunately not. No. I'll have, if we're playing 18, I'll have like 3 drives where I think I can be very good. The rest of it is just not good. No. But it's still fun to do. Yeah.
Put the golf clubs away. Your focus now in the sports world is I don't care if it's 3-2. They better not lose to the Jets. Oh, that's going to be bad.
You and I both agree on that game. You and I both agree on that. And everybody,
I don't know how they come back from it. If they lost to the Jets,
you think that if they lose week 1, their season's done?
Well, I mean, they're not going to throw their hands in the air and start to cry, but I don't know where they would go from. I don't know what they would do to, like, if they're not good enough to beat the Jets in week 1, I don't know what would happen between then and week 2 that would fix things. It'd be grim.
Oh, man, this is going to be fascinating over the next couple weeks to see what happens.
Oh, I'm going to be talking quite a bit about this game.
I can't wait. No, and you know what? I hope that you and I have extensive conversations throughout the year about it. Like I said, my friend, I enjoy talking to you as much as anybody. You are the absolute man, and thank you for giving me a little bit over an hour of your time today.
All the best, fella. Here we go.
Here we go. All right, everybody. If you're watching on the Believe YouTube channel, please be sure to give us a subscribe. If you're listening wherever you get your podcasts, subscribe, leave a comment, leave a review, do all that fun stuff. Really helps out the podcast and the channel. And we will be back later on in the week to discuss more things coming in week 1 and throughout the season. So until then, it's Believe in Steelers. Take care.